All right, welcome to another episode of the Pinpoint Investor with Faisal Morsi. As usual, this is brought to you by Pinpoint Skip. Go to pinpointskip.com for motivated seller leads. Today, I have a good friend of mine, Daniel Hood. Dude's a beast. He's young, he's like 23 years old, and has been killing it. I look up to this guy as a family man, as a business owner, and as a husband, and as a new dad. He's navigating the world of being a new dad and trying to run a business. So it's interesting to see him grow in both aspects. So Daniel, appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. A little nervous to talk with the data king himself.
As you should be. All right. So just give people an idea, like, what do you do and how did you get to where you are now?
Sure, yeah. So like you said, Daniel Hood, 24 now, just had a birthday a couple months back. So started out in real estate when I was 17, going into 18, going on 18. That's when I did my first flip. Um, Learned a lot from that and slowly did some more stuff while I went to college, University of Maryland, got a finance degree. Like I said, slowly doing stuff while I was there. I was like half of my college time was COVID, so I was all online. So that kind of worked out well. Graduated, went full time real estate investing. Started the first year doing a lot more flipping. So like started halfway through the first year, like June, July ish. Kind of got in the role of things, buying a lot from wholesalers. That like basically first full year ended up doing around like 30 something flips.
Nice.
Yeah, it's crazy time. Have a business partner, Wes. I'm sure you'll interview him in the near future here. So he kind of had the construction background of everything, and I had the money raising, the running numbers, all that kind of stuff. That was my experience. I didn't know a lot about the construction, so it kind of worked out well with the pair. Kind of like I said, though, buying all from wholesalers, and realized after that first year, like to scale, it's going to be very hard because I don't control my supply at all. My only option is to offer higher and make my margins lower to get more deals. So we talked about that and we were looking where we want to go, the numbers we were trying to do, and we realized like, okay, we need to start sourcing our own deals. So the following year, flipped that on its head, which was last year. Did like probably 90% wholesaling, 10% flipping. We buy some rentals here and there. And yeah, and now same with this year, mostly wholesaling. We'll cherry pick some flips here and there that really cosmetic, really easy to do, big spreads. Otherwise, we're selling them.
All right. And so 22, you were strictly flipping. 23, you changed your model up to basically almost all wholesaling.
Yep.
Um, And then today you're saying like it's the same model, like strictly wholesaling for the most part and just cherry little stuff.
Yeah, we might do anywhere from 10 to 15 flips, just depends on what comes across the table. We'll still buy stuff from wholesalers, realtors still bring us stuff as well. But it's got to be the right fit. Like, I mean, when we were flipping 30 plus properties, we were taking down $25,000. Like that was our margin. 25,000 was the profit. With that, you don't have a lot of room for error. Your ARV is wrong. There's all like half your profit. Your construction goes over, there's half your profit. If it goes a little bit longer than you thought, whatever it is, we were trying to run on thin margins. That's why we were buying so much. Um, yeah, so we flipped that to wholesaling.
Gotcha. And then, so, all right, what does your wholesaling operation look like today?
Yeah, so we've got a few acquisitions guys. We've got what's basically like a lead manager or follow-up specialist, and we've got a closer. Closer basically, as it sounds, lead follow-up guy is hitting our leads. Closer is also hitting our leads, but when the lead follow-up guy finds something warm and we're getting ready to make an offer, he's then passing it on to the closer. We've got an in-house transaction coordinator. She's also kind of like an executive assistant. We've had one in Dispo under me, just left out. We might be adding a VA and try how that works, opposed to having someone in office. So kind of toying with that idea right now. But yeah, we run anywhere from like a 6 to 8 man team,
Nice.
man/woman.
What's your monthly marketing budget?
Say that again. Sorry, I broke up a little bit.
What's your monthly marketing budget?
Monthly marketing on average, it's probably about 65,000. It could fluctuate, obviously, depending on the month. When we're running the marketing, I like to look at it because I run all the marketing. I basically look at it in like a 3 month cycle. So if we start something new, I'm going to run it for 3 months, and then I'm going to look at the numbers and see, okay, what does this look like? Bare minimum, basically, that I want is a 3x. And so when I say a 3x, right? So let's say we spent $10,000 on one specific channel, I want to see a $30,000 return. So if it was 10,000 for 3 months, I should be making 90,000 in deals at minimum. Otherwise, we're dropping it. I would love to see a 5x. That's like really solid for us. Anything over that, like 7x, is outstanding. That's kind of like the metrics that I'm looking at, 3x or more to keep it rolling.
And so with that type of marketing budget, like, what are the different channels that you guys are using?
So yeah, so we're always testing stuff. We still do cold calling. We still do some SMS here and there. It's getting a little bit trickier, I'm sure, as you know, with all the laws that are coming out and whatnot. We switched to a lot more inbound stuff, which is why that budget has increased a lot more. So outbound's always going to be way cheaper, but you're going to need a lot more leads to close deals. So inbound we got like PPC, which is pay per click. We just we did radio after the 3 months. Wasn't loving it. We really did it so that we can get first in line because the same company runs the commercials as well. So all the commercial spots were full, but if we went on radio, we got the next spot on TV basically. So we got that spot pretty quickly. So we cut the radio after we saw it wasn't doing well. Now we're on TV. We do SEO, like I said, PPC. We'll do what's called PPL, which is like pay per lead. So it's other companies who are doing all the same stuff, but you're basically just paying per lead from them. We do direct mail. It's pretty new, but it's actually doing really well so far for us. We just started within the past 4 months. Never done it before. I was kind of nervous to do it because it's a pretty expensive channel, and you can screw it up pretty easily. But if anyone's interested in kind of how we did that, definitely shoot me a DM and I can connect you with who we worked with.
Nice, that's awesome. All right, your acquisitions, guys, how many do you have?
Right now we got 3.
Okay, how do you pay them, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, hold on one second. Sorry. Yeah, so we pay them a flat monthly fee or salary, basically, I guess you would say. It's $20 an hour. Whatever that adds up to a month, it's around like $3,000, I believe. And then they also get commission on deals. Depending on their level of experience, commissions are different. So it's anywhere from 2 all the way up to 6 to 8%.
Nice. And so that's on wholesales, right? So like, how do you do it for the flips too?
So for flips, if we are taking it down and they obviously closed the deal or whatever, like they closed the seller, got the contract, what we would do is once we close the first side of it, we would pay them like as if it were a $10,000 spread. So let's say it's a $30,000 spread. We pay them on the 10,000. Obviously, nobody can be certain. Like, okay, we're going to make 30,000. We might make 20. We might make 50. So then once that second closing happens, they'll get paid the rest of the commission on that. So the way we kind of teach them, right, is like you want to stack your pipeline, right? Like your wholesales are your quick money, and then you're gonna get big rips, flips. So like that's how you kind of look at your money. Like, okay, I've got because if we start to flip them, they get like, oh man, like I'm not getting my money. So that's like, yeah. So we want you to line up some wholesale deals. That way you got your money coming in. Then you got your big like rips coming here and there. Because usually if we're taking on flips, it's not a $20,000 total profit. It's like 80, 100,000.
And so how are they able to control that, or it's just kind of luck of the draw, right?
Yeah, so they don't have a say as to whether or not we flip or wholesale it. We kind of look at it as business owners and make sure, like, hey, we're not taking down all flips because we know they got to eat. Right now in this current market, a lot of times we're just wholesaling them anyway because we're like, hey, this would be a pretty big flip, but we're making 70, 80% of our flip profit just assigning it. So if we can go ahead and assign it and focus our energy on getting more deals, like no risk, no time frame with that extra 20% just doesn't make it worth it.
And so what is your like threshold for like deciding to like take down a flip versus like, wholesaling it?
Yeah, so there's no real like hard like set fast rule on it. It's really kind of a deal to deal thing. Like if I've got a townhouse that's super cosmetic that I know will sell conventional like loan, like not a FHA, just because of the whole flip rule with the 90 days, and I could make 60 on it, or I could make 35 on the assignment, probably taking it down just so I know it's so easy and nice and quick. But yet if I got that same situation with a single family, that maybe let's say the reno is a little bit higher and I'm not so sure if it's going to go conventional or not, like I would take the 35 and just leave the 25 on the table. So it really just depends. It's kind of deal per deal. There's no like hard set fast thing. Just too many factors to like say a specific, like, oh, if it's this, I'm buying it. If it's this, I'm wholesaling it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It also depends too, like, right, like we work with a GC now. So if we trying to keep like a crew busy with just our projects, like I might need to take one down. That's not as great as I want it to be, but I want to keep the leverage with the guys working.
Yeah, you want to keep them busy. I get that. All right. What I like about you guys is like you're very intentional when it comes to hiring and training your guys and getting them up to speed. Well, first off, where do you guys find your hires, your salesmen?
Yeah, so all of our people right now have been just like word of mouth. Like everyone who's in our office right now, we've known in some capacity, or we know someone who's known them. And it hasn't. No, we've had no success off of just like Indeed or a random person. Our one guy, our closer, Mark, you'll see him on our like Instagram all the time. I mean, I played football with him when we were like 7 years old. Alyssa, who's our transaction coordinator, like she's just known us for not like best friends, but like just known of each other for years and years. So that's really been the best, is just like our sphere of influence and who we know, and just kind of connecting from there. They always end up fitting the culture well, as well. So
And so, do these people have any type of like sales background or anything?
no one's had any sales background so far.
That's awesome. Okay. And then, so when you bring them on, about how long does it take for you to train them to then start putting them on the phones and then them start getting deals?
It really just depends on the person and how quickly they're picking it up. We'd like to try and get them on the phone as quick as possible. Basically, once they get the script down and don't sound like a robot, like we're throwing them on the phone talking to older leads, because that's when they're going to get better, just getting reps in.
That's awesome. Okay. And then once you guys get a property under contract, what does your dispo process look like?
Yeah, so we get a property under contract. Acquisition sends it over to our TC. TC is reaching out right away. We like to try to like offer a white glove service, basically is what you'd call it, because like all these situations are always crazy in real estate, as you know. And if you're not in real estate, you'll come to know there's always something wrong. So they're always trying to treat it like a white glove service. Always stay in contact. But as far as dispo goes, transactions, talking with the seller, we're setting up our photographer to go in. We don't go on many appointments at all, so we're never seeing the house until after we get under contract, majority of the time. So we got to set up a photographer to get in. If it's vacant, we love that. We try and get a lockbox on the property. That way it's easier to get buyers in. Not always doesn't always happen, obviously. So sometimes we kind of work our way around that. But once we got that figured out, takes usually anywhere from 3 to 5 days is what we try to get that in. Because basically time kills everything in real estate. So we're trying to shorten our timeline on everything. So 3 to 5 days to get all that ready. As soon as all that's ready, boom, we're going to start marketing the property out to our buyers list. Basically, we have a certain process. So like we'll send out we'll give our VIP buyers, what we call them, 24 hours to look at a deal. And then after that 24 hours, we'll blast it out to our whole buyers list. From there, we give 48 hours. I see people now where they're using our thing that we have a buy now price and a starting price. Everyone was always making fun of us. Now I see like 5 different people with a starting price on their thing. So like, oh, how does this make sense? It's like, well, it makes you more money, so it makes sense. So basically, we blast it out. We give it 48 hours. We have a starting price. Let's say it's 200,000. The buy now price might be 10, 15,000, depending on the certain deal, higher. So basically, you get 48 hours to collect offers. If someone doesn't want to sit there and wait for all your offers to come in, well, then you give them a buy now price. Happens a lot, and it's really made us a lot more money doing it that way. We need 3 offers every time to accept a deal, unless it's a buy now price, obviously. But I want to see 3 offers in, especially when I have a dispo guy under me. Like I want to make sure, like, hey, we're not just taking the first offer. I want to see what's going on, right? Even if they're low ball offers, I want to kind of see where everyone's at, what they're thinking. If after so we got the 24 hours, 48 hours, if we're still not gaining a lot of traction, then we're going to go on the MLS if possible. Sometimes it's not possible. A lot of times it is, though. We get a lot of solid buyers in the MLS. I mean, basically at that point, have every eye you could have on that deal. So then to there, if in a week we have no offers, clearly it's a price problem. Price cures everything. Like the situation might be bad. Okay, well, it's reflected in the price then. So then we got to figure out, do we need to drop the price? What is happening from there?
Got it. So many gold nuggets in there. All right, let's go back. How are you guys analyzing deals without even seeing the property?
Yeah, so I mean, after doing so many, just kind of like you get a good feeling about it. We've got the right questions that we ask on the acquisition side to get a good feeling of kind of the property's condition. You got to know the major things like your mechanicals, like do they have central air? Do they not have central air? That's a huge thing. Was the roof replaced a year ago, or does it have holes in it? Huge thing. Once you get inside talking about like drywall and paint, that's all super easy to just kind of have on a price sheet. But figuring out those like big mechanical items, big structural things, confirming it has a basement, confirming it's tall enough to be finished, does it have a walkout, all those major items that really can hit your price hard. Once we figure those out, all the inside cosmetic stuff, like knowing the cost to renovate a bathroom is easy. chances are 90% of the time you're gonna have to renovate the bathroom unless it was done within 3 years, 5 years, and it looks good. A lot of times it doesn't look good. So most of the properties we're getting, we kind of know like bathrooms probably gonna be redone, kitchen's probably gonna be redone. Even if they've done something, a lot of times it just doesn't fit with the rest of the property when you renovate it. So just really nailing down on the big major items. Once we got those set in stone, then the rest is pretty easy, I think.
And so are you guys like planting the seed like, hey, just a heads up, like, if it's worse condition than you say it is, then we're gonna have to like renegotiate?
Yeah, but it doesn't happen often. They kind of know, like they kind of get it, right? Like if you lie to us, it's not benefiting you, it's not benefiting us. It's just kind of wasting both of our time. So it happens here and there. Sometimes it happens unintentionally. Like we had one in Waldorf, and they hadn't been to the property in years. Um, our photographer went, and this property was just absolutely disgusting, and she had no idea. Like we literally sent her the pictures, and she was like, "Oh my god, I didn't know." So we dropped the price, and it was like 60 grand. Uh, but she was okay with it. She was like, I mean, I honestly had no idea that was the situation. I mean, there's just a lot of rough things in here. There's some structural damage. The septic was no septic was no septic was bad. Well was good. So yeah, septic was bad. She had no clue. I mean, there was literally like shit black flowing in the toilets and stuff. So yeah, a lot of problems she didn't know about, and that happens occasionally because a lot of times we're talking to people who might have inherited the property and they've never been there, so they can't really be 100% honest because they don't know.
Yeah, that's a valid point. And so like, with these situations, like when you go there, and you get to renegotiate, let's say someone's like, my property's a 10 out of 10, and then you go there and, they're obviously like either lying or they're just trying to get as much money as possible. Like, what do you say to them to be like, look, like you don't want to call them a liar, but it's like the property's worse off than, you let us on be.
Yeah, so I think a lot of people probably know, like by now, if you see us on social media, we call it how it is. Like we're pretty like cut and dry with it. So I mean, we'll just call it how it is. Like you say it's a 10 out of 10. Like come on now, like that's just not the case. So yeah, sometimes we have the tough conversations with them. Hopefully, acquisitions is already built enough rapport with them where they when we sell that, like tell that to them, they don't just click and hang up on us. So a lot of times that's the case too. They start to understand us. Uh, and once you kind of really explain, I mean, if you're being honest with them and it's not a 10 out of 10 and you're showing them here's X, Y, Z, why it's not, like what can they argue? If they're completely delusional, I mean, you can't change them being delusional. It just is what it is. So we just present the facts. We're not trying to deceive you, Mr. Seller or Miss Seller. Here's what it is. Here's what we need to make it. We don't do this as a non-profitable organization. Like we're for profit. We got to make some type of money.
Nice. Yeah. Good point. All right. What advice would you give to someone who's starting off in this business, whether it's wholesaling or, trying to like crack them, crack the door, I guess, in order to get in this business?
Sure. Yeah. I would say, I don't know. Let's see. Probably like just don't stop. It's definitely not easy. There's a lot of people out there kind of make it sound easy, talking like, oh, you can wholesale and make $40,000. Yeah, sure, it does happen. I mean, we've got one closing on Monday. It's 156,000 and some change on an assignment. Like that's awesome, but it took years to get to that point. Like if you get that on your first one, you're pretty lucky. Uh, but just keep working. It'll come. It took us a couple months, a few months. I think it was like 4, 5, 6, something like that to get our first deal when we started actually marketing. And you just got to kind of know like what marketing channels are using. If you're using cold calling, you got to know that it's going to take some time for that conversion to actually happen. Now, if you're using PPC, which is going to be a lot more expensive, these people are filling out their info on your site. So it's a lot hotter lead. It could happen quicker. So you really just got to know what you're doing. If you're willing to spend money and get inbound leads, you can make it happen quicker. But if you're going to do the outbound reaching to people, if you're driving for dollars, it might take a little bit more time. You can't expect it just to happen in 2 weeks. It could happen, but it's probably not. So you just got to stick with it and keep grinding, I think.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. I want a shameless plug here. What has been your experience with Pinpoint Skip data, and like how have you guys done with it?
Yeah, so we've done well with Pinpoint Skip. I did like a 100K challenge thing where we just pulled properties in Florida. I almost hit it. We got like 4 deals just off of that, which were one actually ended up being like $40,000. So like it ended up being higher than what I thought after I made the video about how I didn't hit the challenge, and I actually did hit it. But yeah, so we've had a great experience. We just pulled a new list with you, the AI list. So I'll get back to you on that. I'm curious to see how it works. But yeah, definitely a great experience. Very happy with the results. Definitely, definitely reach out to Faisal if you're new, getting started, or if you're experienced. Either or, it works.
That's awesome. Appreciate it. Definitely equipping that. It's going to turn into a commercial.
And I also
So
think the other great thing is, right, Faisal's in the business, so you can have like some people are you buying data from him and that's it. Faisal's there to actually help you and tell you kind of what you need to do with the data to be successful.
nice. Appreciate it. Yeah, I tell people like selfishly, I want you to be like wildly successful because you're gonna buy more data and you're gonna, refer me. So like, yeah,
Exactly.
awesome, nice. All right, you being a new dad, do you want your son to get in this business? Like, what type of advice are you gonna like give him? When in regards to like entrepreneurship, because I know you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Like, how do you plan
Yeah.
on supporting him?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. It's not like something I've really thought like too hard about right now, just because he's so tiny. But like I don't know. I mean, if he wants to wholesale real estate, sure. But I want him to be bigger and better than me and have more opportunity. Uh, so like I don't know. Not that wholesaling is not a great thing, but like I want him building multi-billion-dollar fucking buildings. Like that's what I want him doing, and I want to set up that legacy to where he sees when he is old enough. Like I'm not here wholesaling real estate anymore. I might have a wholesale company still that's still spinning off cash flow. But I want to move on to bigger and better things and kind of show him what's like all of his opportunities. If he wants to go to college, great. You can go to college, become a doctor, whatever you want to do. Just not limiting him.
Yeah, it's awesome. Great advice. All right, I know you guys have kind of transitioned. So you had the wholesaling business, and then recently you bought another like cleaning business. How did you learn to analyze that, and like what was your motivation to like when actually buy another business?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's the thing about me. Like, I just shoot from the hip. Like I just looked at this Sprinter van today that has like one of those like VIP luxury backseat setups because I was like, damn, what if I set up a podcast in that? And so I just sent the dude an offer. I'm waiting for him to get back to me. I think he's going to accept it. So I might be buying that. Like for me, I just like if I make a decision, I just run with it. So like with that business, sometimes that's a downfall, but a lot of times it actually ends up being better than what you thought. So I think that could be a little gold nugget too. But as far as buying the cleaning business, I don't know. They're just numbers, right? I know how to underwrite a deal. As far as underwriting the business, it's not like crazy. They're not making 100 million a year, which would be a whole different. Like it'd be like underwriting a multi-family property versus a single family. Like the underwriting for this was kind of like looking at a single family property, right? Like very very easy to understand. The numbers made sense. I like the idea that it's at night. I like the idea that they already had kind of a whole structure set up with workers. They already had contracts, pretty decent contracts. They had a manager in place, so I like that idea of that. Um, yeah, so underwrote it. Just talked with a couple other people who were like connected with other people who have bought businesses, who's ran bigger businesses, who's kind of been in that space of rolling up businesses. So like rolling up would be like I talked with the he was the CFO for Len the plumber, and like for like 10 years or something. His were you the one that connected with him or no?
No.
Somebody connected me. I can't remember who it was. But anyway, like his whole thing was buying smaller businesses and rolling them up. That way, eventually they could package it all and sell it off as a huge company.
That's smart.
So just getting advice from him and kind of just learning how they're looking at numbers. So just kind of using my sphere of influence and speaking with those people to kind of see what was going on. But at the end of the day, the numbers just made a lot of sense for what it was.
Nice. That's awesome. All right. And so what, like, going forward, like, what is your plan for the next, like, 5 to 10 years? Like, where do you see yourself? I mean, God, by the time you're 34, it's ridiculous to say.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really like think that far out, honestly. Like I think like in terms of right now, I think the furthest I thought is like till 30. So like by when I turn 30, I want to be able to do well, first I want to have like fuck you money. Like I don't know. I see a lot of people are like they're very polarized on this, right? Like some people are like, oh, don't care about the money, only care about your time freedom. And but like for me, I want both. I'm greedy. So I want both. I want the fuck you money and the time freedom. Um, so like now I'm kind of just trying to work hard, different avenues to make a lot of money and be able to say like if I wanted to at 30, which is just not going to happen because I get bored too easy. Sit back and be like, all right, I'm cool, I'm good. But it's just not going to happen because I don't know. This is like I'm a big sports guy, like super, very, very, very competitive, and I think business is basically like the sport, right? Like I couldn't go to the NFL, so now here's my NFL. Like this is what I compete in, and I can last a very long time in competing. So I think that's kind of what it is. As far as like financially, like I don't know, my goal is this year to make 100,000 net a month. Um, pretty close, not 100% on track with that. But by the time I'm 30, I would like to be like getting close to that million net a month. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there, but we'll see.
You got a good start. All right, where do you see your real estate business by the time you're 30?
Real estate business by the time I'm 30, yeah. So I think sticking with the wholesale operation, trying to figure out how to make it run 100% completely like solid with me not being in it day to day. Because I think it's a great source of getting deals, but also moving up to bigger and better deals, I would think, more commercial opportunities. Uh, that's kind of what I see as far as real estate. I really like the idea of like buying businesses. Now that we bought the cleaning business, I do like the idea of it. Um, and also I like the idea of like, not that I should say I'm a consultant for anybody, but like I spoke with a couple of people who are running businesses, and like I really like the idea of kind of like consulting with them and bouncing ideas like here's how you could make it better. So maybe one day in the future that could be a thing as well, like consulting for equity once I have a proven track record of look at what I've built and what I've done. I really like that idea. I think it's cool.
Nice. Yeah, same. I like that for you. So how has the wholesaling business, how does that translated to the cleaning business? Is there anything that correlates that's helped you out for building that? I know you've only owned it for a short period of time.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say like as far as like I think that's one thing that I don't love about it is I talk to a lot of people who buy like you, right? You're in wholesaling and then you're in data and they run very like well together. They're on like the same vertical, I guess you would say, or they're very close verticals. The cleaning business, not so much. So I don't love that idea. So I definitely think that's something I would focus on more in the future is trying to like very similar verticals. Like if I'm paying $100,000 a month to a electrician because I run a contracting company, like at what point does it become better for me just to buy that company? I'm already paying them. I'm a huge customer for them. They've got other customers as well. So I like that idea there. Not gonna lie, I kind of forgot your question. I don't want to ramble on. So what was it
Yeah, is
again?
there anything that correlates with wholesaling and
Oh
cleaning?
yeah. Yes, I mean just like no, I think the great thing about wholesaling though is it sets you up for success like across like all things in life because I swear to you there is a bullshit problem every single day and it's like are you serious like it's a fire to put out every single day so like it's so easy like once I get a problem in the cleaning company it's like laughable like dude the other shit that I got to deal with is absolutely nonsense and now in the cleaning company I've got a cobweb that one of the people missed like no problem easily taken care of so I think that's a great thing about wholesaling starting out with it I feel like everything else from there on uh, it's a lot easier. You also really learn how to manage people. We don't have a big team, but I have to manage people every single day, whether it's buyers and sellers. I got to always be managing them because if I'm not, that's when all hell breaks loose.
I
So I
don't
think you
think,
learn a lot of problem skills and a lot of like management of people.
yeah, I don't think I asked. What is your role in the wholesaling business?
Yeah, so I run dispo, marketing, transactions, all that, and business partner runs acquisitions and some construction.
Okay, nice. I mean, you kind of alluded to it, but what is your craziest real estate story so far? And if you have a couple, feel free.
Craziest. Okay. Yeah, I know we talked about this earlier, and I've been trying to think. That's one I feel like I like get so numb to it that I just forget all this shit that actually happens because it's just nonsense at this point. I just like sometimes I don't even tell my wife. Like I'll get home and how was your day? Oh, it was great. And I didn't tell her about the tenant I had to kick out, and it was like ridiculous. But let me see. I would say probably I had a property in Halethorpe. I think I was 19 at the time. Dude, I bought it so cheap. Looking back, I'm like, why the hell did I sell this thing? I bought it for I think it was like 44 grand. It's a little like row house. It's in the ghetto, but I mean, like definitely so solid of a like purchase, and I barely made any money fucking selling it. So that hurts. But there's a dude like couple houses down. His name was James. This was when I first kind of met Wesley. So we're not business partners yet. Just kind of like talking back and forth, connecting. So he was kind of helping me out with the rehab too, kind of like getting like introduced to the game. So I had this property. He knew a dude who worked. Wes knew a dude who worked for him, who knew the dude that lived a couple houses down, James. So James comes over one day, he wants some work, blah, 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 blah. Oh, cool, no problem. You can like help me out, man. Just watch the property for me too, if you don't mind. Like you live right there. It's not the greatest area. Make sure no one's stealing my shit and whatnot. So he's been helping out carrying material, all that stuff. And I walk in the one day and it's like late at night. It's probably like, I don't know, like 8:30, 9 p.m. It's dark out. And I didn't have any electric in the property either. I had a whole issue with BGs. That was a shit show. But the crazy part is, I walk in, I'm talking with James, and he's like, "Yeah, man, don't worry, ain't nobody coming here." He's like, "I got you, boss." And I was like, "Oh, like, like appreciate it." And then he reaches behind the door and he pulls out a Draco, which is like, if you don't know what Draco is, like a mini AK-47, basically. And I'm like, "Dude, holy fuck, what like what is going on?" I don't even really know this guy, so I can't be like what the hell is going on? So I'm just like, "Oh man, I appreciate it." Gave him some knucks, and he's just got his drink. He's like holding there. He's like, "Man, I got you, man. Anyone comes up in here, don't worry, we got it." I'm like, "Dude, this is a huge liability for me. If you shoot someone on my property, like who knows what's going on?" So yeah, he pulls that out. I was like, Jesus Christ. Absolutely crazy. I didn't even know how to react. I'm riding him with the West, and I'm like, "Dude, how the hell do I tell this guy he can't be bringing that into my house?"
You
Like,
can't.
how do you have that conversation? Yeah, so then the same dude, same house. Like, it was, the whole house was just crazy. He demoed the siding for me. And I'm sitting out front of the house one day, and a police officer knocks on my window. And I'm like, shit, like, what the hell would he want? He's like, "Sir, do you own this house?" And I'm like, I really want to tell him no, but what if he saw me just walk out of it? I don't know. I wasn't paying any attention. I was on the phone. And so I was like, "Yeah, I own it." And he was like, "Well, you dumped your trash in the alleyway, all your siding." I was like, "Yeah." It's like, that was must have been the contractor I hired. He's like, "Well, it's your responsibility." And I was like, "All right, well, where's it at?" I don't know. He told me some place where it was. I tried to look and find it. I never found it. So, and he never came back, but that was another issue with James there. Yeah, it was just a crazy house.
Man, that's nuts. All right. Anything else that you want to like tell people, like, especially like the ones like getting started in this business that have gotten like, their teeth kicked in. Any advice you want to give them?
Yeah, just connect with the right people. That'll make you a lot of money in and of itself. If you're trying to wholesale and trying to be a one man show, if you got deals, hit me up. You might need someone to help dispo. I mean, like, a lot of people think like, "Oh, I don't want to give any percentage up." But what if you make 50% of 30 grand versus you assign it yourself and you make seven? You only made 50% of it, but obviously you made double. Like, so many people are scared to, like, I guess, ask for help, but also like give up anything. Like, they think, "Oh my God, they're getting screwed." They don't even realize what's going on. Like, I had a dude who brought me a deal and he's like, "I don't want a JV." I was like, "All right, cool, no problem. Well, why are you bringing me the deal? I'm not doing anything with it." And eventually ended up JVing. He got an offer originally for, he was going to make 6 grand. We ended up making like 32 on it and split it 50-50. I was like, how, like, now you see why I said that, right? Like, you think I'm trying to screw you, but really I'm fucking helping you and I'm showing you how to do this properly. So I think just connecting with people, don't be scared to give up a little piece of the pie, because like what you end up learning is way more than the money you end up giving up. If it's any money at all, you might make more. And then just my biggest thing I always say, like with everybody, is just pay to play. If you're getting into wholesaling, there's a lot of free information out there. But when I first got in here, I spent a lot of money on coaching because I wanted to expedite my learning curve. You could go to college for 4 years and try and learn it for 4 years, right? That's what we could do with YouTube University. I can go watch all the wholesaling shit, and maybe I'll finally make a move, or I could pay $20,000 to a coach and be doing deals in 2 months. So like,
So
that's my thing,
how,
is pay to play.
so how are you able to determine who's a good coach? Like who's worth the money? Like I know there's a lot of like bad coaches out there. So like, how do you determine who's the right one?
Yeah, I think you just got to kind of look at and make sure you align with them, and what they're doing. You like them as a person. If you don't like them, obviously you're not going to fucking get on their coaching calls, or you're not going to want to do anything. You're not going to listen to them on their training videos. I think that's a big thing. Make sure you're aligned with them. And then I would really make sure that they're actually doing the business, and most of their revenue is not just coming from coaching. So that's a big thing, I think, too, because they could have had really hot years when the market was hot and it was pretty easy for everyone to make money. And now they jumped out. Now they're coaching, and all their money comes from coaching. It's
Yeah.
not, how are they giving you real world advice when they're not actually running the business right now today? Sure, it might have worked in 2021, 2020, whatever it was, but what's working in 2024? The only way they know that is if they're actually running the business, or they have the business that's running. They don't have to necessarily be running it.
Yeah, great points. Are you part of any masterminds currently?
Yeah, a couple of different ones. Nothing super real estate specific at this time. One I really love, though, I think I just shouted him out the other day, was Mark Evans. I'm in his like DMA family, or alliance, DMA alliance thing called, I don't know, something like that. But it's like $1,000 a month. Really love that group. Really awesome. I definitely think you should get in masterminds. I mean, if they sound like they're a lot, but if you just really look at the potential you could get out of it, if you actually use it how it's supposed to be used, the cost is minimal.
All right, so like that's a great point because like I've joined masterminds that like I didn't really like get anything from, and looking back on it is because I wasn't putting anything in. So how do you like
Yeah.
suggest that people get like the most out of the masterminds?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like a, what do you call that? Damn, someone who says something and they don't do it. What the hell's that called? God, I can't think of it. But a hypocrite. There you go. I'm kind of a hypocrite because I do this myself sometimes too. But like, connect with the people, dude. Actually talk with people. If they have Facebook groups, actually post in there. Because if you just sit back and be quiet, like no one knows you're there. You can watch the videos and everything, but the whole point is building that relationship. Like relationship capital is a huge thing. If I can meet a couple dudes that are in Ohio, Florida, Texas, now all of a sudden I didn't know anybody there. Now if I have a deal there, like I've got different connections. So what? They don't do real estate. Maybe they own an auto body shop. But usually business owners know other business owners or like more affluent people in the community that they can connect you with. And now I just built like this whole web of connections in states that I didn't know anybody. So just actually talking to the people, like be genuine, lead with value. Don't lead with like always trying to take from people. That's what a lot of people do, and I think it's so annoying. Not that I'm like some big hot shot, but when people like just try and suck from me all the time, like yo, like just eventually just like fuck off. Like I'm just tired of it. Like I've got my own stuff I'm trying to do. Right, lead with value, bring value to other people, and then you'll get it back. Stop trying to just suck all their value and give them nothing.
That's so smart. You are by far ahead of your time and a lot older than 24, at least. Certainly. All right. I appreciate your time. How do people get a hold of you, man?
Hit me up on Instagram, D Daniel Hood. That's probably just the best. Just message me, DM me, talk on the phone, whatever it is. Facebook, obviously, just Daniel Hood. Yeah, that's probably the best ways.
Okay, cool. Yeah, appreciate your time again. Again, this is Faisal Morsi, the real, I don't know the name of this thing anymore. The Pinpoint Investor Podcast, brought to you by Pinpoint Skip. Thanks again for your time, man.
Appreciate it, man. Take care.
You too.